Dhyayamo dhavalavaguntanavatim tejo mayim naishtakim snigdha pangavilokanim bhagavatim mandasmita shri mukim vatsalyamritavarshanim sumadhuram sankirtanalapanim shamangim madhusikta suktim Amritanandatmikam Ishwarim. Om Amriteshwarye Namaha. Om Amriteshwarye Namaha. Om Amriteshwarye Namaha. So I think before even the intro, we need an intro to the intro, because it's just not very well explained often. What's Tantra, what's yoga, what's Hatha Yoga, what's this, what's that, how does it all fit together? Does it even fit together? And actually, the answer to that is some traditions in Hinduism put things together and others completely separate and disagree. So I'm going to explain it a little bit. You could just have a category here, Hinduism, just general category, which is a modern term, which was given from outsiders, outside India, just saying like, Hinduism is the religions of the people from the Indus River civilization. But it's not a real term. And the actual term is Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma. I probably should put that up here too. Which Dharma has many meanings. In this context, path. In Sanatana, the eternal path. Sanatana Dharma is the general term for Hinduism. And what makes something fall under this category is they recognize the Vedas as the mother, the authority, and Vedanta. Vedanta is the end or culmination of the Vedas. It's where the Vedas, where they realize their full manifestation, the full potential. Now these are Tibetan Buddhists. Their religion is called Buddha Dharma. It's not Buddhism, it's Buddha Dharma. So Sanatana Dharma, eternal path, Buddha Dharma, the path of the Buddha. The Sikhs, Sikh Dharma, path of the Sikhs. So all the Indian religions are actually the real actual name, Sikh Dharma, Jain Dharma, Buddha Dharma, Sanatana Dharma. So they don't recognize the Vedas. That's why they're not Hindus. They're Buddhists. But they're very close cousins. And the Hindus would say, same but different. So the Indians, the Hindus say that, they basically say Buddhism is Hinduism and the Buddha is, some say the Buddha is an avatar of Vishnu. But if you ask them, they'll say, no, we're different. So, which also shows the openness of the Hindu tradition. It basically says God can manifest in any way, as Jesus, as the Buddha, as somebody in Peru. It just doesn't matter. It's very inclusive. So the Vedas, they're comprised of general 4 parts. And the majority of the Vedas, I've never studied them actually, because they have to do with really ancient rituals and rites, like for ancestors, for the rain, worshiping elements. And it's kind of like, because this developed over many years, and in that beginning period, there was more a belief we have to do things in a certain way to maintain the cosmic order. And if we put a foot wrong, something could go wrong. This is a way a lot of indigenous religions have this sort of perspective. But what eventually happens is these enlightened beings, these yogis in the caves and the forests, they come out and they say, no, actually, everything is God. They call it Brahman. And they say, in the individual, basically, it's not even, so the thing is, there is no individual, but they call it Atman. Atman's like the wave, Brahman's the ocean. But the wave is not separate from the ocean. So these yogis, they come out of the caves in the forest, and they say, you don't even have to do any of those rituals and anything. You are the Atman, and Atman is equal to Brahman. And this reality is unconditional. Like whether you do good or bad or right or wrong or anything, it doesn't matter. There's only God in reality. And we're going to go into that in the text. But then you'll say, how come? Like I feel like I'm here and Kelly's there and the tree's there. Everything feels separate. It seems nothing like what you're saying. We're going to go into that. So this culmination of Vedanta in Atman and Brahman, it's an oral tradition that becomes written down in something called the Upanishads, which means to sit near, meaning these enlightened masters came out of the caves and the forests, and they sat, and people came to sit near them and receive this wisdom, the Atma Jnana, or the Atma Vidya, the knowledge of the Atman. And then from this, many people interpreted it differently. So there's not just one tradition that comes out of this. There's many, many, many. So there's one that comes out called Sankhya, the Sankhya philosophy, which breaks down existence into categories. In the intellect, the mind, the 5 elements, something called the gunas, these 3 energies that are woven through everything in nature. And this philosophy is dualistic. Dualistic means in this philosophy, nature and consciousness are separate. And this goes into Patanjali's yoga. So Patanjali's yoga is dualistic fundamentally. Like the practices, it's excellent, the Yoga Sutras, but fundamentally his view is dualistic. It's that you want to separate the seer from nature. You want to separate Purusha from Prakriti. That leads to here. But then the two, and this is not a main tradition actually. The majority of ashrams don't study Yoga Sutras and don't follow Patanjali's path. It became popularized more recently. But this is actually, it's respected, but it's more niche. It's not the main path. The main paths are Tantra and Yoga Vedanta, and specifically Advaita Vedānta. These are the 2 main paths. And those 2 masters, Nisargadatta and Ramana Maharshi, they're sort of modern masters of Jnana Yoga and this path of Advaita. Advaita means not two, means non-dual. So Tantra also has dualistic and non-dual, but basically every enlightened master says it's not dual, it's non-dual. It's unanimous. and in the Buddhist tradition too. So basically, everybody who's the most respected says it's non-dual. So my path with Amma and the other gurus that have been my inspiration is all non-dual Vedanta and non-dual Tantra. So that's what I'm teaching. But there is dualistic Tantra, dualistic Vedanta, but they're much more on the fringes. Like anything, like there's many different types of Christian traditions, many different types of Jewish traditions, Muslim, and then some are on the fringes, okay? So the dualistic traditions are very much on the fringes. And so we're going to be studying a primary text, an introductory text for Advaita Vedānta. And you study this text before you study the Gita and even the Upanishads. But a lot of times you study what we're studying and then you go to the Gita. And primarily this is going into three types of yoga. Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga. And then the other path was from Vedanta into Tantra. Tantric texts, I mean, it's too much to explain now, but they come out of this, but then they create their own very rich traditions, but with still roots here. And then from Patanjali's yoga and Tantra, Hatha yoga kind of mixes these two. It's much more tantric. It's like 90% tantric or 95% tantric. But then for some reason, they just start to talk about Patanjali. It doesn't, in a way, it kind of doesn't make sense. I'm not in this tradition. And this tradition actually, it's been more secretive historically. Like those sadhus in India you might have seen who are naked, just have ashes. You know, some of those are connected to this Hatha Yoga tradition. So it was amongst these types of people more, and somehow, well, it's through, I think it's mainly through people like Paramahamsa Yogananda, you had the book, and Swami Shivananda, who took some of these tantric practices that are also in Hatha Yoga and made them more popularized to the general public. Yeah. So that's kind of how, I mean, there's more to it, but this is kind of the general map. So I hope that helps. Any questions about this so far?
Explain the Gita part, because people might know in Karuna, Jnana, whatever.
Yeah, okay. So, in the Upanishads, the reason why it's not good to go directly here as a beginner is because they're very poetic and mystical. And in certain ways, they don't talk a lot about practical life. I mean, they're amazing and I love them and I'd love to teach some of them someday, but it's really for students who are a little bit more advanced. You'll understand it better. But then the Gita comes, and the Gita is really like the king or queen of all yoga texts. Even the tantrics, the great tantric masters, who kind of say we've gone beyond Advaita, they've still done commentaries on the Gita. And the Gita is the king because it starts in a civil war is about to start. And so it's about a kingdom where there's going to be a civil war because the unrighteous people have taken over the kingdom and they're not willing to share it. It's like very much like modern problems. And so the warrior Arjuna, who doesn't want to fight, his charioteer is Krishna, who is God, and his guru. Actually, when the Gita starts, Arjuna doesn't know that Krishna is God. He just knows that he's the guru. And then in the Gita, it's one point Krishna shows him his cosmic form. But the Gita is so amazing because it's 18 chapters and it talks about all aspects of life. So it talks about yoga if you're working, if you're a warrior, for any aspect of life. So it's very practical. And it talks about how to practice yoga if you don't like to meditate. It talks about different approaches. And the three main approaches there are karma, bhakti, and jnana. So jnana is the main subject of our text, and it's the main subject of Advaita Vedānta. Jnana means knowledge. So this is the yoga of understanding I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm the pure consciousness. But we're going to talk about this, I'm going to teach it to you, but just because you hear it doesn't mean that you experience it. Jnana is so subtle. Now some people, like Nisargadatta, that man on the left there with no shirt, he was a married man in Mumbai, in the city, in like a bad neighborhood, basically, and he chain smoked beedies. People know what beedies are? They're these little Indian cigarettes that are rolled in a leaf. They're very cheap, they're cheaper than a regular cigarette. So he had a little shop where he sold cigarettes and things like that and candies, like all over India they have these shops. And he was just a regular guy with kids and a wife. And he met a guru in this Jnana Yoga tradition. And the guru told him, you're not the body, you're not the mind, you're the Atman, you're the pure consciousness. You were never born, you never die. When the body dies, it doesn't affect you. Yada, yada, yada. And he just, after a while, just realized it. Because we don't understand, but through many births, he might have been a yogi for like 1,000 births, and he was like a fruit that was just ready to drop, So you have to be very ripe to really just get this. Yeah. So that's one path, but then bhakti is devotion. It's the path of the heart. It's devotion to God. It's through emotion, that emotion of love and longing to return home to God. And this practice is puja, like we did yesterday, offering the flowers to the Divine Mother. That's bhakti. The kirtan and the bhajans are bhakti. And that bhakti is supposed to spread into everything. That you see God in nature, you see God in your friends and your family members. And in that love, it might start with the deity like Krishna or the Divine Mother, but it starts to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. That's the path of the heart. And the yogis say that this is the easiest path, especially in this modern age, because it's hard for many people to meditate and to get the jnana. Then karma yoga is often misunderstood as doing like charity work. It's not. Karma yoga is yoga in action. And so in the Gita, when Krishna says, if you can't meditate, if you can't do jnana, he says, just do your work in the world, meaning just wake up, brush your teeth, make your breakfast, go to work, go to your parents' house for the holidays, but do every single action thinking of me, and that everything you do is an offering to God. So when you brush your teeth, imagine you're brushing God's teeth. When you wake up, you see your partner in the morning, if you live together, I'm going to say him because everybody's a woman here. Or, not true, you could have a female partner too. Well, whoever it is, you make them a cup of coffee or whatever, and you offer it to them as God. And so you go throughout the day, and you're just honoring everything. And you take your work as work for God. Even if you're like, I don't like my boss, I don't like my job, that's not a karma yoga attitude. Even in that situation, you would have to say, "Oh, my boss is so difficult. That must be God teaching me lessons." That would be karma yoga. So actually, none of these are easy. I mean, bhakti is the easiest because it's just like love, but there's tapas. There's a burning in an evolution and a growth through all of these paths. So none of it is easy. But in the Gita, Krishna says, if you can't do these other things, just do everything offering to me. The other thing he says about karma yoga is you need to do your actions with the attitude that you are not the doer, that you're not doing the actions. What this means is that you need to understand that in the morning, you don't even open your eyes or take a breath without the grace of God. Like you're not pumping your heart, right? You're not consciously pumping your heart. It's just all these things are happening automatically in the body. We can all agree on that? We are not doing anything. There is something higher than us, a cosmic intelligence that's operating all the systems in the body, circulatory, digestion. So the karma yogi is understanding, I am not doing anything. So this, I am just here, this I, whatever it is, I'm just here to be humble and serve God. And I'm not the doer. So that's kind of where, now if you understand this incorrectly, which some people do, mostly not Indians, but like Westerners, they can think, oh, I'm not the doer, I can do whatever I want. This would be a misunderstanding. You shouldn't misunderstand this. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's more people, Westerners, who get into Tantra and don't understand Tantra. But it's not in the sense that I'm not the doer, so there's I can do whatever I want, there's no consequences to my actions. No, it's I'm not the doer in the sense you understand that there's a cosmic intelligence that's operating, and that this I, which is really just the ego, this sense of I, is not doing anything. And so it's about being humble and reverential. So, but there's a lot more to all of these. There's chapters and chapters in the Gita. And in Amma's ashram, we did the Gita every single day for a year. It took us a year in the ashram to do it as a community. We did like 3 verses a day. So it takes at least that long to go through it. And we didn't even go through commentaries and stuff. We just did very brief. So the Gita could be studied in a course for easily 2 years. Yeah. Just to give you an idea of the depth and the scope of it. Yeah. But that's kind of like a very brief introduction to it. What do you think, Wanda? Did I touch on most of the main points? Yeah.
Approve.
Huh?
Approve.
Okay. Any questions about that? Sarah?
You've put 4 things in the law: the karma, the bhakti, the jnana,
Jnana.
and the yoga.
No, it's karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. Yeah. Yeah, and then I'll add one more thing. And then there's 4 classical paths. The other one is Patanjali's yoga, called Raja Yoga. But what that means is, Raja Yoga kind of has two meanings. One meaning is that it's Patanjali's yoga, but the other meaning is it simply can mean the path of meditation. Meaning it could be, because Patanjali's, in the Yoga Sutras, it's dualistic. He's saying consciousness and matter are separate, right? But you could still practice Raja Yoga, meaning your path is meditation, but you're following Advaita. Is that clear? Because Raja Yoga, it means the path of meditation, and it can also mean Patanjali's path.
What about Kundalini? Is that under
And hatha comes under Tantra and includes Kundalini. Basically, all Tantra has, that I'm aware of, has Kundalini, the Kundalini yoga model of the chakras and awakening Kundalini. That's like the signature, like core philosophy of Tantra. And Hatha Yoga comes from that. Yeah.
So I have a question. So in Tantra, like you're working more with Shakti and Advaita Vedānta.
So good question. So like the hardcore Advaita Vedantins, they will say there's no Shakti. They will say that Shakti, that there's only Shiva, and that Shakti is just a temporary appearance in Shiva. Like they say Shiva is the screen, and the images on the screen, the movie, that's kind of like what life is. Just temporary projections of consciousness. Or that Shakti is just the waves, and that there's really only ocean. That's kind of a better way to understand it. The pure Advaita, and the Tantras and the Advaitins, they're saying the exact same thing. It's just that these guys are basically like, don't bother with, just focus on pure consciousness. Where the Tantrics are like, everything is God anyways, so you can enjoy the world. It's more kind of life embracing. One big difference is this was primarily a monastic path. And then this became a path of non-monastics. Yeah. People that were more in the world. Where these monks are kind of like, you have to understand, they were mostly male, and even to this day. And so they're basically like, and they're celibate. So they're like, avoid women, don't go to parties, don't go to movies, and just focus on pure consciousness. And don't complicate your life, right? Because getting married, having kids, getting a job, getting a mortgage, this complicates your life. So these monks are like, don't complicate your life, just focus on jnana yoga, and don't take another birth. Don't create more karma. There's a whole other aspect to this, is that the more karma you create, the more births you take, the longer you wait for liberation. So that's that. But the Tantrikas, this developed into a tradition when it was really flourishing, and like, I'm trying to think if it was like, in the 700s in India. I'd have to look at historically. It became people who were married, and they were enlightened, and they were like, oh, I realized that I'm liberated, and it doesn't matter if you're married. It doesn't matter if you have a glass of wine. It's all God. And and it's much more fun, actually, like operating out here. And everything's God. And so they created this like beautiful, like it's very like mystical, it's very beautiful. It's harder, it's more complicated to understand tantric philosophy, which is why, like, I'd love to get into it someday, but you'd really have to go through a few years of other things to really understand it properly. But they're both saying the same thing. They're just approaching it from different perspectives. I forgot why I was talking about that in the first place. Oh yeah. So here, this whole world is Shakti. It's like, it's non-dualistic, but it has this idea that there's the ocean and the waves. And so they really embrace the waves. They really embrace the manifestations of creation. It's also explained like there's gold, which is the substance, and then that substance, which is the only reality, can be made into earrings, watch, bracelet, into all these beautiful forms. And the Vedantins are kind of like, don't worry about the forms, just worry about the gold. And the Tantrikas are like, oh, it's so much fun playing with the gold and making things with the gold, and why not enjoy the gold? It's more fun. And so the whole creation is the goddess, is Shakti. But Shakti and Shiva are one. Yeah. And there's all kinds of philosophies that go with that. One is that it's just this vibration. The whole universe is called spanda. Spanda. And so it's like there's nothing. It's very much connected to the space between the breaths. And we're going to meditate more on this. It's like nothingness and then movement. Nothingness, movement. Nothingness, movement. It's also kind of like the atom. You have this space and then you have these things moving around. The electrons. And we're just space. But there's like this magnetic force that makes us seem solid.
Yeah. Quantum physics discovered that these electrons, they are flipping in and out of existence all the time. So it's basically standard.
Yes, so
disappearing and appearing, and before they thought they exist at all times and they rotate around the atom in a specific way, but now they realize, no, they're actually disappearing completely and reappearing in a different configuration.
And it depends on if there's an observer of them. Then if there's something observing them, then they appear differently as well.
Yeah,
like they need an observer to exist.
Yeah.
This is exactly what Advaita Vedānta, it says when you go to sleep and there's no observer, the world does not exist. Spanda? Yeah, so it's amazing. Yeah, Wana is very into this quantum physics, and she's got a very bright mind for science, and so she helps me kind of understand it. But it's basically exactly what Tantra is saying and what Vedanta is saying, but many, many years before, this scientific method and all these things.
Complexity theory. I read a book about it and it's the same.
It's the mathematical model you need to describe.
So, what do you think? Is that a good introduction?
Yes.
Shall we take a little break? Take a little bathroom break and then we'll come back?
Okay. Then we don't miss anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we're getting close to being finished. Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Okay, sure. I'll just continue because we only have 15 more minutes. Yeah. We only have 15 more minutes.
Okay, then I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss anything.
I wasn't expecting to do all that.
But we got the base on.
Yeah. I gotta move out of the sun here.
Yes, it's 10:30.
And it's 9:45.
I think this ends at half time.
Is you want to order hall?
Yeah.
And then, so then, yes.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I got like lost in the nothingness. Okay, let's take a bathroom break, okay? I was gonna say that seemed super fast. And also, if anybody is a bit sleepy, there is black tea and green tea down there. Yeah.
Well, we shouldn't bring it up here.
I mean, I'm not gonna cross Anna.
Oh, yes.
She's the boss. She's the boss. I think next time I'll tell people to bring their own mugs, like their own.
Like a thermos.
Yeah, their own thermoses. Yeah.